We want it open. We want it free. We don't want tolls. It's international. It's an international waterway. They're not charging tolls. There hasn't been a ship that's been able to get through without our approval. And the Navy has done an amazing job.
Now, a waiting game in the Middle East continues now. The region watching to see if the U.S. and Iran can reach a deal that ends the war and reopens the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump keeping his military options open as we are told that there is some movement in negotiations, but what that movement is, hard to know. From Dubai, Jeff Paul is reporting again today. And Jeff, hello.
Yeah, Bill, an advisor to the president here in the UAE says at the moment, in his opinion, he believes there's about a 50-50 chance of the U.S. and Iran coming up and agreeing to some sort of peace deal. His concern is that in the past, Iran has sort of overestimated or overplayed the cards they carry, and he's hoping that's not the case this time. Meanwhile, President Trump says negotiations are ongoing.
We're negotiating, and we'll see. But either we're going to get it one way or the other. We're going to either make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon, or we're going to have to do something very drastic.
Now, President Trump says he's giving the negotiations more time, and Iran says it's currently reviewing the latest proposal. We also know Pakistan is intensifying its efforts to mediate the process, with several reports indicating their army chief is on the way to Tehran. On top of that, Reuters says Qatar has sent a negotiating team to Iran to help secure a deal to end the war. But at the same time, Iran is seemingly sending a very provocative message to Washington with this map. It shows large areas of control in the Strait of Hormuz that stretch to the shores of the United Arab Emirates and Oman. Iran is now reportedly in talks with Oman over working together to control the strait and charge tolls. President Trump responding this way to that report.
Well, we're looking at it. We hear about it. They've negotiated. They've had a relationship with them before. And we'll see. We have total control of the Strait of Hormuz, as you know, with our blockade. The blockade's been 100% effective. Nobody's been able to get through it.
Now, officials here in the UAE say any sort of control over the Strait of Hormuz would have global repercussions. They also say prior to the war, the Iran nuclear program was a priority 2 or 3 for them. Now it is their #1 priority. Bill.
All right, Jeff Paul, thank you. In Dubai again today. Thank you, Jeff. Dana?
And for more on this, let's bring in retired Colonel Mike Jernigan, former Iraqi invasion commander. Marco Rubio is in Sweden, and he was just there for NATO meetings, and he also talked about needing a plan B and having a plan B. Watch here.
We also have to have a plan B. And plan B is, what if Iran refuses to open the straits? What if Iran decides we refuse to open the straits, we're going to own the straits, and we're going to charge tolls for it? Okay, at that point, something has to be done about it. And I would argue that there are countries represented here today that are more deeply impacted by this than even the United States is. They're not just going to voluntarily reopen the straits in that scenario. So we have to start thinking about it.
The other thing he said, Colonel, is that if Iran is allowed to charge a toll there, that there's about 5 other places around the world that currently have freedom of movement that would do the same thing.
Right. Good morning, Dana. Good morning, Bill. The freedom of movement is such a thing. Those are called international waterways, as marked by United Nations and international law. Busily, the People's Republic of China is watching as Iran is trying to influence the Straits of Hormuz and say this international waterway that's required for the commerce of all is our property. You know, the PRC is also doing that in the South China Sea. And so there's some interesting developments going on.
Sir, listen to, we just heard from the president. He had a lot to say in the Oval Office yesterday. Here was a question about enriched uranium and what you do about it, okay? We'll roll this here.
Can they keep their highly enriched uranium?
No, we get the highly enriched. We will get it. We don't need it. We don't want it. We'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it.
Get your reaction on that. Marco Rubio said last hour about this movement on these negotiations, whatever the movement is. He said, don't exaggerate it and don't diminish it. Colonel, are the Iranians just tapping us along?
Yes. I love what the president said, that the Iranians will not get enriched uranium. It's important to remember that Iran is a Shia flavor of the Islamic religion, and they're in the minority in the world. And so 90% of the world's Islam is Sunni. Iran is Shia. Why that's important is the Shia religion believes that they need to sow chaos and bring about the apocalypse to bring about the 12th Imam. So it's in the Iranian constitution as a theocratic government that they want to stir chaos. Having a nuclear weapon is incredibly advantageous to bringing about the apocalypse, I would offer. And so what's interesting to happen is that it's a fundamental tenet of their belief that they need to bring about the end times. And so the president saying that absolutely they cannot have it is absolutely right. Now, it's important to recognize we don't have to take it. We can destroy it. Other people can take it, and we can prevent the Iranians from having it. But the key thing is that the Iranians do not have the material available to make nuclear weapons.
Okay, so I want to ask you about the other countries in the region, though, because obviously we're waiting, we're seeing, we have President Trump speaking quite frequently to the American people, being very open about what he's thinking to the extent possible without disclosing classified information. But there are also all of our Gulf allies who are sitting there going like, we are closer to this, we are worried about this, we are under threat, and our economies are suffering. So that clock seems to be ticking a little bit faster than anything else.
Absolutely. And that economic clock that's ticking faster is also ticking faster for the Iranians. They're between a hammer of the U.S. military might and the anvil of the crushing economic blows. As we look at the map of the region that you're showing right now, at the very tip of that peninsula is Oman. Oman is considering whether they're going to pay for Iran's protection racket, to use a gangster term, because that's exactly what it is. And that's because the entire area of influence that Iran has declared surrounds Iran, except on its southern border where it's bordered by UAE. In contrast, UAE has said that I'm going to say, no, we're not doing this. So each of these countries are going to make their own decisions based on their national interests, but also some of them are going to align with the U.S.
Well, we'll see. I was saying to Bill earlier that it just feels like every Friday we get into this position. Like, is something going to happen? But then the Iranians say, actually, no, we are going to speed up the talks. And then you find out there's nothing there.
Hard to win a war against those who think they're facing end of times, but we shall see. Colonel, thank you for your time. Thanks
Great
for
to
coming
see you.
on. Thank you for your service.